International Air Transport Association says global airlines industry has $1.2 billion blocked in $9 trap African countries. At an aviation meeting in Rwanda's capital on Monday, IATA's Vice President for Africa, Raffaele Kuchi, said airlines were in talks with few government officials to unblock the funds. But he did not specify the affected companies. Still talking aviation now. Despite the global economic meltdown that has taken a toll on the aviation industry, air transport has contributed more than $10 billion to gross domestic product of Nigeria and other African economies. The sector is expected to also create close to 6 million jobs in the next 20 years. Air transport currently employs more than 5.5 million people and contributes $425 billion to the global GDP. When combined with its supply chain and dependent industries, including its contribution to tourism, aviation supports over 33 million jobs and $1.5 trillion GDP. An estimated 35% of all trade in manufactured goods travel by air. This is worth some $3.5 trillion. A report from Oxford Economics further stated that substantial employment and economic activities is generated by small businesses and agricultural smallholders in developing worlds that are dependent upon aviation, disclosing that for every $100 million invested in the aerospace, an additional 70 million of the GDP is generated year after year. Beyond multiple economic benefits, he reiterated that air transport has radically changed how economies and societies operate and interact by opening trade opportunities that benefit poorer countries, making it easier to share knowledge, gain thorough research development and innovation, giving workers in developing countries access to higher, more stable incomes while maintaining ties to their homelands and helping to increase awareness of preservation initiatives and sustainable ecotourism in emerging economies. Well, a large one there. But I have joining me in the studio the MD, Chief Executive Officer of Maple Aviation Logistics Limited. That's Folarin Adesemowo. Thank you for joining us on Business Nigeria.
Thank you, Tula.
Well, I'm going to start with the state of our airports in Nigeria and what we face, the aviation sector in general. What do you think about the state of our airports as we speak?
Right. It's so unfortunate the state where the airports are. Because like, I think for example, the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. If you go there, the conveyor belts are, they've been there since the airport was built. So it's so unfortunate that the airport has been in a state of neglect, which is like every other sector in the country. The roads, the health, the airports is just in a total state of neglect. But recently, the federal government has signed up a consensus to allow private partnership to come into play. So what we can only do, we can only just keep our fingers crossed and hope this will improve the state of the airport.
Well, that has actually brought up lots of issues on the positive and the negative. The aviation workers maintaining their stance. Do you think private investors, that's the right way to go? Because if we look at the power sector, many people are comparing.
Yeah. Personally, I think that's the way to go. I'll take, for example, the telecoms industry. Not until the government invited the investors to come in, that was when the telecoms got into shape. And if you look at other developed countries, for example, in the UK, the airports are being maintained and managed by private investors. But one thing is, if the government is being sincere with the process, I use the word sincere, if you know what I mean. If they have been sincere, they do it by the book, they are going to get it right. We've done it before. If you look at the MM2, not the MM2 now, the local airport, the one being managed by Courtney. That is so far the best local airport in the country. Yes, and that's because it is being managed by Courtney. So if, once again, if the federal government throw it open, allow investors to come in, let them manage it, I'm sure we're going to get best out of all these airports.
Let's look at the Nigerian routes now, the routes here, applying the routes. There are lots of challenges these days, delayed flights, people can't even meet up appointments. So you're a player in the sector. What is responsible for all of this?
It's very straightforward. We don't have a national carrier. That's what is responsible. We don't have a national carrier in the country. As it is now, Nigeria plays a very important role in Africa's economy. So our aviation sector, we should play like the hub for some of these domestic, some of these regional carriers. For example, if you need to travel from here to Gambia, I'll tell you it's going to take you 2 days because there's really no direct flight from Lagos to Gambia. Even Lagos to Senegal, you know, that's where people go and bring the Senegalese and all these things. If you are to go there, there's no direct flight from Lagos to Senegal, as well as so many other African countries. I think what we need to look at, and what the government needs to look at is, we need to make Lagos, we need to make Nigeria the hub of African countries. Let's have other airlines like Air Gambia, Air Cotonou, let them come in and fly here and be able to take people to all these other West African countries.
So clearly there's a challenge with the West African hub. That's what you're trying to identify now.
Yes, obviously, there is a great challenge. Yes.
And bridging that gap is for this other airlines to come in and move from here. At the time, I knew that there was also issues with this Forex thing. It actually affected airlines so very much. Yeah. How did it affect travel agencies like you?
Wow. I mean, it's affected us a lot. Not only the travel industry, it's affected almost every sector of the economy. Not only the travel. But it affected us in a way that at this time last year, $1 was 260. But as I speak to you today, on the parallel market, the dollar is 365. So there's a ripple effect of that on the prices of tickets, on the prices of hotel, on quite a lot of things. So it really did affect us a lot.
So, but the accessibility now, because many banks are now giving out, does it now mean that everything is trickling down? Because we heard of it when it was on the high side. So let's hear of it now that it's getting a little bit normalized. Because I knew of a time where the dollar was about 522.
Yeah,
so you know, so at least I think there should be a little sigh of relief one way or the other.
It is. I mean, I must say the dollar has been stable. It stopped fluctuating, going up and down, going up as much as 520. Next day, it's 600. The panic mode was too much. The panic button is set on the travel industry was too much. People could no longer plan because you don't even know what is going to happen. So, but what I can say, it's stable now, and it's available. People can now access BTA from their banks, schools. I mean, people can get enough dollars to pay their medical bill and everything. So it is available now, but the prices didn't come down. On the average, a Lagos-London ticket is around about 400,000 now. A Lagos-New York ticket is about 600,000. This is really a lot for an average Nigerian who wants to travel. And we need to travel because of our businesses. We need to travel because of so many things. We cannot just sit in Nigeria. We need to reach to the other side of the world.
And you can't also take away the aviation sector. There's this, it's connected, kind of interconnected with tourism. So if people can't travel, and a country that we're looking away out of oil, I don't think we can get it right if we don't really get our aviation sector right.
On the positive note, what's the scarcity of dollar, what the increase in ticket fares has done, it's made us look inwards. We've now been able to promote our local tourism. We've now been able to look at, okay, I can't afford to go to Dubai for Christmas. Where else can I go? I mean, we as a company, last year we worked majorly on promoting local tourism. Because when you look at it, there are quite a lot of places in the country that are tourist attraction that we should go. I mean, I can mention a few for you. We've got the Olumo Rock in Abeokuta. We've got the Erin Ijesha Fall. We have the famous Kogos. Yes, I'm sure you have not been to Kogos.
I've been to Kogos. I'm from Ekiti State.
Oh, okay.
So I've been able to at least get that, the hot and the cold water.
Exactly, where they mix together. Those are tourist places people need to develop. I mean, the government on their side, they need to make these places enjoyable for people, attractive. Yeah. Ikogosi has accommodation, but quite a lot of all these other places don't have accommodation. Idonre Hill would not be bad if you put like, what's it called? It's a cable car over it, so that people can see the beauty of the town. So, on a positive note, what the scarcity of dollar, what the increase, what the challenges has done to us, it made us look inwards to see how we can promote local tourism. rather than all of us just thinking tourism is all about going to UK or going to America.
Okay, let's go on this break now. I will still have the MD Mapo Travels here. We'll be talking more about the aviation sector, contribution to the GDP, challenges, and of course, projections, prospects of the sector. Very important sector too. Stay with us. It's still Business Nigeria. Thank you for staying tuned. It's Business Nigeria, and we're looking at the aviation sector. Lots of developments in that sector. The focus of the government also to revamp, some airports and all of that, and challenges airlines face at this time. Don't forget Forex and all of that. Though it's getting better, but there are still issues surrounding. And I have the right person here who's been the MD CEO Mapo Travels, that he's been talking so very much passionately about this sector. Thank you so much for still being with us.
Thank you.
Now, as we were on that break, I remembered issues around attitude of some airline operators to passengers. We hear of complaints all around. Some people don't even get their luggages get missing, and they have to get to court cases and all of that. What's responsible for this kind of development?
Thank you, Tulu. There are quite a number of things responsible. When we talk about the attitude of the airline to the passengers, all the airlines are being guided by the IATA regulation. So really, if there's a delay on the flight or if there's anything, the IATA regulation stipulates what the airline should do to the passengers. I mean, most of the international airlines, not all, most of them, when there's a delay in a flight, most of them, I must say, they do very well. They lodge the passengers in a hotel, they provide alternative accommodation and so many things, while some of them don't. But the onus is now onto the passenger to make a complaint with IATA and let them know what the situation is. So if it's a delay due to technical fault or beyond their control or weather condition or due to safety reasons they couldn't fly, the airline is meant to make alternative arrangements, either put them on another air flight or make accommodation for them. Some of them have been complying, some are not. So bottom line is the IATA body needs to look into this. The federal government, I mean, they need to look into this because there are quite a lot of complaint about it. Lost baggages as well, same applies. There is an amount you can claim if your baggage is lost, and so on and so forth.
Can imagine. What about, at the time, yes, we're having the issue of aviation fuel scarcity too, that, airlines couldn't meet up, and some saying that kerosene has been diverted to aviation fuel, lots and lots of Jet A1 and all those technicalities and all of that. You can tell us more about that. How did that go and how is it faring now?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. We have a wild imagination. I mean, people say kerosene being used to fly a plane.
I tell you,
is that possible? I mean, but recently, I mean, in the last 24 months, I must say things have been fairly stable on the part of the aviation fuel. In the past, we used to have airline loading from Lagos and going to fuel in Ghana. I'm telling you, it does happen. They load in Lagos, I mean, they go and fuel in Ghana. I mean, what this does is this, in effect, add to the journey time of the passenger, and it creates stress because not everybody likes the takeoff and the landing of an aircraft. So, but same with what's it called, your normal PMS and everything. When last have you witnessed a petrol strike or lack of?
It's been a while.
Yeah, so it's been the same thing. I mean, aviation fuel is a byproduct. So it's been available.
Okay, in one word, can airlines now repatriate their funds? Before they were having issues with moving funds back to home countries.
That's an interesting one. Not all of them can, because we still have airlines who ask to also pay dollars for tickets. But it's better. I mean, 24 months ago, it was terrible. The airlines had all their funds stuck in this country, and they couldn't repatriate their fund back to their home country. So some of them stopped taking Naira from the travel agent. We couldn't issue tickets in Naira. We had to start issuing in dollars. So it was really a bad time in the industry, but it's better now. And another thing is, it affected us from issuing what we call SOTO tickets. SOTO tickets are tickets that originate outside the country. So we have parents who want to buy tickets for their children to come on holiday, but because airline couldn't repatriate the fund, they didn't want that burden of you increasing the liability. But fingers crossed, so many of the airlines have opened their portal now. We can now do a lot of SOTO tickets.
I must thank you, Folarin Adesemowo, the MD, CEO, Mapo Travels. Thank you for your time on Business Nigeria, giving insights into issues surrounding the aviation sector.
Thank you very much.